An upcoming title in the Warhammer 40,000 universe that I'm really excited about, guys, after watching the initial reveal at the Xbox Game Showcase, is Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. And this is a game that, at first, when I was watching the trailer, I didn't know if it was going to be a perfect Dark trailer. Certainly has part of the name in it, that being Darktide, but it was not at all what I was expecting. Guys, this is a new take, ultimately, on Warhammer 40,000 from my recollection, even though I'm not as involved in the Warhammer 40,000 universe as I should be. Certainly am going to be getting pretty involved in one way, shape, or form after seeing the Darktide, trailer that came out. But I wanted to go over everything that we know so far about this title, because I know I'm not alone when I say I'm really excited about this, and I'm sure a lot of you guys all are as well. Let me know, though, in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about this new kind of turning tide, no pun intended, to Darktide that is going to be coming out, guys, here with Warhammer 40,000 as the newest addition to this franchise. So let's talk about it. So Warhammer 40,000, guys, Darktide is an upcoming first-person action-adventure video game being developed and published by the Swedish video game studio Fat Shark, which is planned to be released for Microsoft Windows and Xbox Series X in 2021. Set in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, the game will utilize a similar formula to that used in Fat Shark's Warhammer Vermintide 2, in which 4 players cooperate to defeat periodic waves of AI-controlled enemies. Which, right off the bat, that sounds really interesting to me. Reminds me kind of like Gears of War and games of that nature. But if I go over to Vermintide 2, certainly, guys, I'm going to absolutely have to play, these games, to say the least, because I have not played Warhammer Vermintide 2. I did not play this one, but this was a first-person action video game developed and published by Fat Shark. It is the sequel to 2015's Warhammer End Times Vermintide. Vermintide 2 was released for Windows on March 8th of 2018 and then released on the Xbox One July 11th of 2018. Also was free for with the Xbox Game Pass, which I'm not sure if it's still free with Game Pass. I would assume it is, which is absolutely awesome. Game Pass is, of course, the best service that you can get in gaming at this point in time. But what I'm getting at here, guys, is this is a first-person action video game. So that being Warhammer 40,000 Darktide is also a first-person action-adventure video game. So I think you could probably take certain things from Vermintide 2 and put them into Darktide in one way, shape, or form. It sounds like there's going to be a real emphasis on co-op in this, and that's something that I am excited about. I'm just hoping that there's going to be ways that we can play by ourselves if we want to, as well as multiplayer elements to it. In an article, guys, written by Tom Senior of PC Gamer, Vermintide 2 developer Fat Shark takes the Left 4 Dead formula into the 41st millennium. Warhammer Vermintide 2 is one of our favorite co-op games, but after killing a lot of ratmen with swords and axes, Fat Shark is switching to Games Workshop's sci-fi setting for its follow-up, Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. It's time to pick up a plasma gun and do battle in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. Expect to fight hordes of enemies in the dark, claustrophobic depths of a hive city. And then, of course, Darktide will release sometime in 2021. Just the setting alone, guys, has a lot of horror elements to it, and that's something I'm really excited about. Even though it's more so an action game than a horror game, it's got those, kind of like horror elements, it feels like, at least from the official teaser trailer. And I'm excited about, kind of looking at what that's going to be. I mean, grim darkness of the 41st millennium, claustrophobic depths of a hive city. That just sounds really intriguing to me. Now, the first trailer was shown at the Xbox Showcase, and of course the trailer and the first batch of concept art as well as screenshot gives us a lot of clues about what Darktide might be about. Now, the playable characters. It seems sensible to assume that the 4 guardsmen in the trailer represent the characters we'll end up playing in the finished game. Wait a moment, though, and check out the concept art. These 4 characters are more developed than the cookie-cutter guardsmen we see in the trailer. This team has a variety of gear that implies a range of loot. They also seem to represent different classes, one of which, the massive dude, is an Ogrein. These enormous futuristic ogres serve as strong arms in Imperial Guard armies, but they can also serve as specialists. There are two possibilities. First, the guards we see in the trailer are the fodder that discovered the Nurgle menace deep in the hive, so the Inquisition sends a more talented force in after them, and that's who you play. Or these guardsmen are the starting point for the characters you play, and you can upgrade and specialize them over time. Think about this though, guys. Something that wasn't mentioned here that I've thought of, and this is just, kind of me like thinking in kind of just terms of, when I hear like 4 guardsmen, I think of like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And so I'm wondering if there's anything there that, with Warhammer 40,000, this Darktide and Fat Shark, I'm wondering if they thought of something where it was like, okay, these guys represent the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, essentially. And I think that concept is really cool. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But that was one of the first things that kind of came to mind after watching the trailer a few times through, and then kind of reading about it somewhat as well. What do you guys think about that? The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, the 4 guardsmen that were in the trailer? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Given that an Inquisitor is giving orders in the trailer voiceover, you are likely to serve as Inquisition acolytes, who serve as lowly assistants to Inquisitors in 40k fiction. Acolytes are great for a game because they come in many archetypes, and there's an acolyte hierarchy, and that would serve nicely as a progression system. It'd be very interesting, guys, to say the least. Now, the enemies. The Chaos God of Pestilence, who has a surprisingly good sense of humor, tirelessly experiments with new strains of disease with the ultimate aim of inducting everyone into Nurgle's garden, a festering organic plane of existence in which everyone and everything is subject to Nurgle's experiments. The hordes in the trailer are Death Guard Poxwalkers. They are the zombie hordes of a 40-game Nurgle army and make sense as a low-level fodder in a Left 4 Dead format. Just hearing like some of the terminology and such from this, guys, reminds me a lot of like Lord of the Rings. Kind of feels like the Lord of the Rings vibes and such. We see a large hulking thing in the background of the trailer. We get a clear look at what that might be. I can't think of a direct equivalent in the model range, but it could be an infected Ogrein, as we know from the concept art. Above Ogreins will be involved somehow. It's very interesting. There are plenty of other units in the Death Guard range that would work in the bowels of a hive world. Nurglings would also be a good fodder and hilarious. I wouldn't be surprised to see some Chaos spawn, as we've already fought a few of those in Vermintide, and the monster works in fantasy and futuristic settings. As far as the settings go, guys, Darktide is set in a hive city called Tertium. Hive cities are awesome. They are vast, layered cities populated by a diverse population of warring gangers, corrupt diplomats, inquisitors, kill teams, and a few good hardworking folk who tend to die quite quickly. Planetary governors and senior imperial agents enjoy good living at the top of a hive city's spires, while in the tangled corridors that form the bowels of the city, citizens form gangs and battle for territory. So, what I gotta say, guys, is from the setting to the enemies to the playable characters, this got me really excited. I mean, obviously, guys, somebody who is relatively new, I've kind of been around, I've watched people play Warhammer 40,000, I've seen, quite a bit from it, but at the same time, I'm starting to really want to get more involved in this title, as far as from a standpoint of actually like putting some time into it, sitting down and really playing it for myself in a major way. And with that, it's almost like, where do you start though? There's so many of these Warhammer and then Warhammer 40,000 games. That's the one thing. Where do you guys think you should start? If you're brand new to this franchise, where should you start in the Warhammer 40,000 universe to kind of lead us to Darktide? Let me know, guys, because I don't think I'm probably alone being one of those people who hasn't put as much time but is definitely intrigued by this newest title coming out. Screenshots are awesome, guys. It's a very good place for Nurgle to do his work. A chaos-instigated pandemic can absolutely take down an entire planet if allowed to fester, so the stakes are high in Darktide. As a location to explore hive cities, risk being eternally dingy, but there is potential to mix up the architecture a lot. And from a lot of these, screenshots, guys, I really like what I see so far. And I got to say that this being like an exclusive to Xbox essentially, as well as Microsoft Windows, of course, but that's pretty big. I mean, it's really big. I mean, this kind of for a lot of time, I felt that Warhammer was really a game meant for PC. And then obviously as these, as some of these games have come out, they've come out on consoles and such. But these are different because it's a first-person game. It's not so much just a strategy game anymore. They're kind of expanding the lore and the legacy that is Warhammer 40,000. I absolutely love that. But like I said, guys, let me know in the comment section down below, what are you guys most excited about here with Warhammer 40,000 Darktide? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's have a real conversation about it. And for more Warhammer 40,000 Darktide content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.